What's up, nerds? Welcome to Nintendo Pow Block, our all Nintendo show. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan, and alongside me, as always, that beautiful, beautiful man, Edward Farnell. Ed,
Yes!
I am so excited. You know why I'm excited? Not only am I excited because of what we're going to talk about today,
Yes!
but I'm also excited that you and I have a couple new projects that we've been kind of working on behind the scenes.
Yes!
So before we get there's not really any news story except one major one, which is our big topic of the day, and then we're going to go into a second topic. But Ed and I, if you guys are interested, we are testing out, me, Ed, and then I talked to Matt and Moose about it from NGR Radio proper, the podcast, that podcast that obviously we are a part of. And we're testing out these little segments, these YouTube-only segments for Xbox and PlayStation fans. Arsenal X, which is our Xbox show. We're going to do 2 or 3 10 to 15 minute segments. I think I've kind of settled on the two segments. This week there's 3, but I think I've kind of settled on the 2. I think 2 topics is good. And then Nerds Gone Platinum, which is our PlayStation-based segment on the YouTube page and on ngrradio.com. Ed, before we get into the Nintendo stuff, how do you feel about these projects? I'm hyped.
I'm super excited. Arsenal X and the Nerds Go Platinum. About to say Nintendo goes Platinum. Pretty much they already did with the second, this is second E3 Christmas time reveal, what we're going to talk about later. But Arsenal X, I love Xbox and I love PlayStation and I love to discuss them. I love that we're adding these shows and adding these segments because it wants to show you guys as viewers that video games don't have to be to a specific platform. It could be for any platform that you prefer to play or love. Me and Corey, we love all 3. We love playing video games and discussing them. So these segments are just kind of help you, maybe make a decision about a game or, create a discussion that you never will talk about. And, we want to hear your guys' thoughts and your opinions. Arsenal X, it might sound crazy like it's a gun show, but no, it's about, Microsoft coming in hard, ready to fight to give you guys some great games. And of course, with PlayStation being the leading console right now, us as nerds loving PlayStation and stuff, we kind of want to deliver to you guys also that great content on why they're kind of leading the pack, or for some people. But like I said, we're universal gamers, and we do hope you guys tune in. We do hope you guys enjoy these shows. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your opinions because that helps us deliver better content. Both of them they just started with their first episodes and there's going to be more to come, so we do hope you guys continue to tune in and continue to show your support. I'm hype about it. I love talking about it. Yes, Arsenal X and Nerds Going Platinum, joining the home of NGR Radio with Nintendo Power Block. Yeah.
And I really our strong suit, yours and mine in particular, in the NGR pantheon of hosts, yours and my specialty is Nintendo, right? But we love the other consoles. We love what they provide. And, we want to explore those areas as well, which is why they're more of a smaller YouTube type show, but it's exploring everything that we love about games, and there's interesting discussions to be had about all these other consoles, and Matt's gonna get in on it at some point, but these are projects that you and I have kind of put together in our head. And Arsenal X, we want to bring out the weird personalities that we have,
Yes.
Let's face it. People come to NGR for the personality, for the, I mean, I'm kind of boring, but you're eccentric and excited about Nintendo, and Matt's Matt. People like Matt because he's out there and crazy and stuff, and like, people come to us for the personality, not necessarily the news, which is why our shows aren't really based off news, except for this one. But there's interesting discussions to be had. Like,
Yes.
the first segment, by the time you guys are watching this or listening to this, came out yesterday. We had a discussion about Anthem and how maybe BioWare can do something interesting with the Frostbite engine and maybe make it more for an RPG open world type thing and help that engine evolve rather than just being something for Battlefield and Battlefront for a pretty looking shooter. Like, we had that discussion, and that was an interesting discussion that people don't get a lot of other places, and those are the kinds of things we want to provide to our Xbox and PlayStation fans. On Nerds Gone Platinum, we kind of discussed how's VR shaping up to be in Sony's portfolio. Why are they kind of abandoning indies to promote their first party stuff and that kind of stuff. So like, we just kind of want to add something. Well, first of all, we want to grow our YouTube page. That's that's one of our goals with this, but our other goal is to have interesting conversations and provide content to the Xbox and PlayStation fans, and that's something that we came up with, and I'm super excited about. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am. Like, if you're watching Pow Block, you've noticed the new backgrounds. If you're watching on YouTube, like, you've noticed the new backgrounds I've set up for me and Ed to have a better looking discussion. Not that we're not good looking anyway, but like, there's interesting background. There might be gameplay somewhere in here. Like, we want to provide interesting videos for you to watch as well. And I know that our two main shows are audio shows, but like, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're at work or something and you need something to listen to, you pop YouTube on the background. Like, we want to have something interesting for you to watch too, and like, we're aiming for that with Arsenal X and Nerds Gone Platinum. So we want your feedback. We want to know what you think of that show. So in the episode description of Pow Block, there will be a link to the NGR Radio YouTube page and the website. So let us know what you think, feedback, stuff like that. It really helps grow those two platforms specifically. But also, we're here to talk Nintendo.
Yes, we are.
Now that we gotten all that out of the way, gosh, last week was so long because like, I was redoing. I wanted to play ARMS, right? Because I hadn't gotten to sit down and play it. But I was, I guess the other thing we could kind of talk about too is like, I talked to Larry, your co-host on World 1-1, and we're kind of bringing World 1-1 into the NGR banner. So like, I've been making all these backgrounds for all the different video versions of the shows and updating the website to make sure it's cleaner and easier to follow and easier for us to, manage our shows and segments and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I played ARMS, and I love ARMS. I've been playing not enough of it, but I haven't really played a lot of games. And then I took a nap today, but how did today go? Gosh, I'm losing my mind right now.
You worked today, came home.
I went to bed last night and I was really tired because I was Skyping with Larry about something, and then I woke up this morning to go to work, and then during work I get a message from you that said, "Hey, tonight we need to talk about the SNES Classic." And in my head, it didn't even really like occur to me because E3 just happened. All these huge announcements just happened. It didn't even occur to me. I was like, maybe he wants to talk about the rumor that it's happening. Maybe he wants to do a refresh on our SNES games list that we want to see on the console. So like, that's where my mind was at. And then I looked it up. I was like scrolling through the IGN app, right before I was leaving work, while I was eating my lunch, and all of a sudden, it said SNES Classic announced, and then in the subtitle it said, "Coming with the never before released version of Star Fox 2," and I was like, my mind was just like blown, and I was like, then that's when I messaged you, what? And you're like, yes, and I'm like, yes. So I came home and I was like, I really want to play ARMS, but I also want to produce a good show tonight. So I fell asleep. I took a nap, which was much needed. It was like an hour.
Yes.
It was like an hour and a half nap, and it was great. It was like
The
it was the best thing I could have done today. Was just like
naps
not
are a gift from naps are a gift from God. Yes.
like
Hallelujah.
it was exactly what I needed to refresh my mind for the show. And I was looking up the SNES Classic, which is, we're going to go into that unless you want to talk about anything you've been playing. Have you been playing anything?
Just Nintendo Rise, Dragon Quest 8, and later on tonight, and definitely tomorrow on Wednesday, I'll be getting to Star Ocean, and I will be getting to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm ready to pick that up and just get lost again in that game.
Oh, yeah, that DLC comes out this week. Oh, yeah, this
Yes.
weekend. I know what this
Yes.
weekend's going to be.
Right. But we can't talk about the DLC because I haven't got it just yet, but I'm picking it up next Friday. And then I'll be jumping into that because I want to finish the game still first before I jump into the DLC.
Yeah.
So.
But, okay, so let's dive into our first topic of the day is the Super Nintendo Classic was announced. Now, if you've been hiding under a rock, this is the Super Nintendo version of the NES Classic Edition that was released last year, and super hard to find. And the only way I got one was because of this angel to my right. Sorry, I had to make sure because I'm looking at the video recording.
Yeah.
because on my Skype you're to my left, but on the OBS recording you're on my right, so I had to make sure I was pointing the right way. You got me the NES Classic, and I could never repay you ever for getting me that. And so the NES Classic had 30 classic NES games. I was really excited for that. And then after I started playing around with that, we started talking about what if they did a Super Nintendo version today. Or when it came out, we started talking about what if they did a Super Nintendo. And today it was announced officially. It had been rumored for a long time. 21 games, including Star Fox 2, that's never been released. So
Yes.
that's going to be super interesting.
Yes. And everybody, it's going to be $80 on September 29th.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm so excited. That's a week after Pokken. That's a Friday. Ed will be here. We're going to stand in line. We're going to do a Facebook Live video from the line. It's going to be awesome. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let me run down this list real quick. I think, even though there's only 21 games instead of the 30 on the NES, I think the curated list is better in quality overall than the NES list.
Yes.
I think there's a lot. Not that the NES, the games that are amazing on the NES were amazing, but there was a lot of duds on the NES Classic, like the Pac-Man and there's a couple duds. But so on this list we have Contra 3, Alien Wars, totally down to play. Donkey Kong Country, surprised it's only Donkey Kong Country, especially because a lot of people have a lot of love for Donkey Kong Country 2.
Donkey Kong Country sold more.
I know. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people who love Donkey Kong Country consider Donkey Kong Country 2 their favorite. And I'm just surprised, like, Donkey Kong being a Nintendo first party thing, that they didn't just release all three of them on here. But that's besides the point. Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, apostrophe 6, F-Zero, 2 Kirby games, Kirby Superstar and Kirby's Dream Course, A Link to the Past, yes, Mega Man X, yes, Secret of Mana, yes, Star Fox 2, what? Sorry, I didn't.
Secret of Mana to me was a big surprise because if they would have thrown Chrono Trigger in, that's the trifecta of
Hmm.
Square Soft in the '90s during the Super Nintendo era.
Yeah, that's
Because
before we started recording in the chat while I was eating my amazing dinner, which was amazing, by the way.
yes,
I said the only game I'm surprised that's not on here, just based on what's on here, is Chrono Trigger.
but I'm fine with them not having Chrono Trigger because of Chrono Trigger DS being the PlayStation version, being like the definitive version. With the added anime and stuff, that version is better than the original. Yes, playing it old school, people probably would have preferred it, but I'm just like, after playing it on the DS, that version is better than the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Okay, so Star Fox 2, Street Fighter 2, Turbo Hyper Fighting, which is the version everybody likes.
Yes.
Super Castlevania 4, kind of not surprised considering Castlevania 1 and 2 were on the NES Classic. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG. I'm a little surprised that that game's on there. Not
Yeah.
not just based on like the weird stuff around that game. Like I'm surprised it's on there.
Right, because I think it only came to Wii Virtual Console.
Yeah, it didn't come to the Wii U Virtual Console because
Right.
I would have played it.
Yeah, actually, that and Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy 3 were the only games that came to Wii. They didn't come to Wii U.
Yeah. Okay, so and then Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch Out, and the Super Nintendo version for the first time
Uh,
re-released of Yoshi's Island.
uh, isn't F-Zero part of this? Is the first time they re-releasing it too? Because I don't remember F-Zero.
F Zero's on 3DS. F Zero is on Wii U.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Yoshi's Island. That was major. Like that alone sold me. Like I'm great. I'm happy that I'm getting Secret of Mana and all those other games. Everybody's been wanting the regular Yoshi's Island to come out for forever,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully Nintendo gets a lot of classics, SNES classics out for people to really play, because you have got to play one of the best design platformers of the Super Nintendo age. If you like Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island is gonna blow you away from its creativity. Uh, what is that for?
No, I just noticed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just noticed on the video version of the podcast, there's like a little corner, just because we're using Skype. There's a little corner of my screen on your screen, and I wasn't sure what it was, so I went like this, and now it just looks like my hand is just like woo.
Oh, I was just like,
Oh,
what is he going on? Yeah, but Yoshi's Island is like one of the best platformers for people who want to know where the Yoshi games actually started. Um, the boss designs is probably one of Nintendo's best design games and bosses.
I love
Like,
I love the fact that there's like the boss that you have to get behind and push the potted plant off the ledge to
yes,
pull the boss down. Yes. Yes. Ah, man, I am in love with this list. This list is light years ahead of the NES Classic Edition. And I'm just like my brain hurts thinking of all these amazing games stuffed into a little box, and if I don't get this thing, I'm going to cry. Like I'm literally going to cry cuz I here's the thing. My history with Super Nintendo is very estranged. Like I had an NES and I had a Game Boy, and I wanted a Super Nintendo really bad. Well, I was too young to be making my own money and getting my own things, and my parents bought my cousin's hand-me-down Sega Genesis for me, and he went out and bought a Super Nintendo. So I was stuck being the Sega kid, and then all my friends had Super Nintendos, so I would always go over there and play. Uh, There are two games on here that I wish were on here, but I know because of licensing, they 99.99% of a chance they would not be on here. One is
Turtles in Time.
Yeah, one is Turtles in Time, and one is King Griffey Jr. Baseball. So those are like the two games, my two wish list games that aren't on here that I wish were. But like, I got a Super Nintendo after Nintendo 64 came out.
Mhm.
And I was like scrounging to find all of the games for Super Nintendo that were amazing. Like, I've never played Earthbound until it came to the Virtual Console. I never played Final Fantasy 3. Hadn't played F-Zero until it came to Virtual Console, which I love F-Zero. I've never played Secret of Mana. I've never played the original Star Fox. Like, the only games I have for Super Nintendo are Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World Kart. I have that cart with all of them bundled in it. I have Yoshi's Island, Super Metroid, Legend of Zelda, and Mega Man X2. And then I have King Griffey Jr. Baseball, Mario Kart, and I think I have the Mario RPG cart somewhere. But those are like the only games that I own for Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I know for for this list, the only game I have not played on this list is Star Fox 2. Everything else I have played, and well, most of the stuff on there I have played and beaten. Like Contra 3 I beaten, Yoshi's Island I beaten, Secret of Mana I beaten. I got halfway through Final Fantasy 3, and I beat Mega Man X. Surprisingly, that game was super hard. I'm surprised that I actually beat that game. Super Mario World, that's easy. Mario Kart, of course. Super Metroid, Legend of Zelda. Like most of everything that's on here, I beat it. But I would just love to have that in my home, and playing those old games. I do have a question though. I wonder how Secret of Mana is going to play out, because it's a 3-player multi-game,
Right.
and even though the system comes with 2 controllers, will people be able to add their Wii controller to it?
Well,
And
the
or the Wii U gamepad.
or the Switch Pro controller is Bluetooth.
Yeah,
So I wonder
Yeah.
if you could like add a Joy-Con to it, because that's essentially, I mean, with the face button, it has all the same buttons as the Super Nintendo controller. I wonder if you can. I wonder if maybe that's why it costs an extra $20. Like it has Bluetooth functionality where you can add Joy-Cons or a Pro controller to it. I don't know, man. That's gonna be interesting. Even though like Secret of Mana, I mean, a lot of people probably primarily played that single player, but
Yes.
it had that 2 and 3 player functionality, which was way ahead of its time. Action RPG, multiplayer style game. Gosh, that game. I want to sit down and play that. And if we get it, we're gonna play it multiplayer and do Let's Play.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Yes.
dude. That weekend's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna do so many Let's Plays.
Yes.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
And we're gonna play in play pods.
Yeah, I mean, basically that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sit in front of. I mean, I have a green screen behind me for a reason. So
Yay!
I'm gonna have it all set up so we can record the podcast live. And we're gonna just make a bunch of videos that weekend. It's gonna be fun. And
Yes.
cooking with Corey and Eddie V. That'll be a video. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
because
good.
I can't cook a lick. I can make you a bowl of Cheerios. Me cooking, if it ain't ramen noodles, good luck and God bless.
Nah, dude, we're gonna bust out the grill that weekend. We're gonna have some chicken. We're gonna have some good
Yes.
things. We're gonna get you the right order from Chick-fil-A. So
And everybody, a live recording session for Optional Opinion. Corey is going to be my co-host on that show, and I cannot wait. Yes.
yes, man, and like I have all the recording equipment. You don't need to bring any of that stuff. I have 3 microphones, have a mixer. It's all here, ready to go. It's gonna be awesome.
I just have to wear my computer then. Yay.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So back to what were we talking about? All right,
Super
that
Nintendo
Super
Mini
Nintendo
Classic.
Classic. I'm excited to actually sit down and play a lot of these games. Like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've plugged in that NES Classic and just played through like Super Mario 3. And I told you I beat Metroid again
Uh
like
huh.
a couple months ago, and that was amazing to play on a TV. Like, oh, so good. Uh, so like, I'm really excited to sit down and actually, because a lot of people say Final Fantasy 3 is the best Final Fantasy of all time, or Final Fantasy 6, whatever. I'm using American names. So Final Fantasy 3,
Yes.
best Final Fantasy of all time. Mega Man X. A lot of people love that more than the original Mega Man's, which I love the original Mega Man. So I'm excited to actually sit down and play through it. Secret of Mana. Excited to play through Mario RPG again. Like, it's been probably 20 years since I played through that game.
Yeah, and I really want to play that game all the way. Only got like halfway through that game and continue to keep dying. And when I go, like, there's a ship that you gotta go, you fight like underwater. I keep dying there. That's where the end. I always end that. So, but I want to do play that game and beat it.
Yeah, I'm wondering because the image they're showing looks like do the controllers plug into the front or do they plug into the side? Because the pictures that they've been showing, it doesn't look like the controllers plug into the front.
I don't know.
Like, I've been looking at pictures of this, and like, it's something I just noticed was like, do they have USB ports on the side? Are they using the Wii connectivity stuff? Like, how are they doing that? I honestly don't know, and it's going to be interesting to find out.
I hopefully I'll talk to my a particular person uh that works in the field and get some more answers. So I'll
Okay.
leave it just at that.
Okay. Because Ed's got the hookups. He's the man. He's the man.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Game you're most excited to play through on this thing.
Yoshi's Island. I I'm super stoked to play Yoshi's Island. I want to play Star Fox 2. Beating the first level of the regular Star Fox, that's just gonna click just like that. Be like, oh yes, I remember these controls because I remember playing Star Fox for almost 3 hours trying to beat that game and like never progressing past a point, but slowly sometimes getting there. So I cannot wait to try Star Fox 2. And a big ups to Nintendo for that, for adding that game.
Yeah, because like
You know,
there was a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but there was a lot of things happening around that game where it was complete. They had marketed it. They had shown it off at, I guess it would be Space World, right? They
yes,
showed it, and then they never released it. They just, no, we're not
they
going to release
shelved
it.
it.
Whatever. I wonder. I wonder how that game's going to turn out because that original Star Fox, though impressive for the time, is just like one of those games that is visually impressive for a Super Nintendo. But at the same time, Star Fox 64 is where it's at. Just saying.
Right.
Man, I want a sequel to Star Fox 64.
You do have it.
Nope.
It's called Star Fox Zero.
Nope. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I did buy it. I don't know what I'm talking about. I did buy it.
Oh,
There's,
I don't wait. Oh, and whatever
I
Namco
had
Bandai did, I think.
I had an interesting conversation, by the way, about Star Fox Zero with the guy at GameStop, the GameStop that I go to.
Hmm.
I That's a topic I'm going to bring up on NGR. By the way, this week is GameStop, and like
Just Gage.
I've had a lot to say about GameStop, but the employees at the one that's by my apartment have kind of changed my mind about how I think about things. So I was talking to Mike, the store manager over there, about Star Fox Zero when I went to pick up Cave Story. I guess I picked up
Yeah.
Cave Story. Yeah, that was the last game that came out, right?
Yes.
And We were just talking about the controls of Star Fox Zero and how I was like, I wish they would have just let me shoot in the way I was flying. And I know they're trying to be innovative with the gamepad and stuff, but like, I just wish they would have let me shoot where I was flying and really, really just lean into the Star Fox 64 side of the game, because I really wanted to like that game. It was a pretty game. The environments were really beautiful. Like the ship flew well. Like I just that game became increasingly frustrating
I
the more I had to move. Like just move like this with the gamepad.
I think the thing about Star Fox Zero, and I can't wait to play it in a couple of weeks, is that when you talk about immersion, that is a prime example of immersion. Now, whether you see it as a positive or a negative, Nintendo didn't market it as a immersive game or anything. But I'm just like, if for those who are interested in being a flight, a flight attendant or not flight attendant or a pilot for like the army or something, you don't want to play Top Gear from Konami to get that experience or Afterburner. Something like Star Fox Zero can help you with that. And I think that it really gave you that mood to be like, when you're in a battle like this, and you have to maintain who you're fighting and your environments, and do and kind of like multitask, like whether you see it as fun or not, I'm like, at least when they give you that immersive feel, this game sticks to it. That it gives you that immersive feel. Um, so I like I said, I can't wait to play, because I don't think immersion is with doing button presses, like just pressing a button and seeing something happen. Like that's not immersive to me. Like actually making me feel like I'm in the game is what I care for. So yeah, if I crash and I fail, I'm still learning the game. Be like, okay, this is also a challenge, and I love this challenge because it's making me learn. And that's what sometimes to understand the fun, you gotta learn some games. If y'all could stick it out and play not Battleborn, uh, Bloodborne, and it's kicking your tail and you stick it to it, why can you not play Star Fox Adventure? I mean Star Fox Zero. Oops. And learn that game.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Star Fox is an interesting franchise. I don't know. I like 64 and I like the GameCube
Hmm.
games. I actually liked Star Fox Adventures. It was different. GameCube was this weird console where they were really experimenting with a lot of things with their franchises, and like Metroid Prime went from a 2D scrolling game to a first person game. Like Mario got a water jetpack, Luigi got his own game, and Star Fox was just another one of those games that they were exploring new ideas with. And like,
Right.
what they thought with Dinosaur Planet wasn't really working out, so they thought, let's just throw Fox in here and make a new game. And I thought it was fine. I thought it was like a Zelda light. It kind of almost reminded me of Beyond Good and Evil, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
Like in terms of like the tone they were going for, in terms of exploration, in terms of the light Zelda elements. Like, now that I think about it, that's kind of where I put Star Fox Adventures. And I actually really like that game. And, this is going to be a topic for a different time, but like, I feel like people get stuck thinking that franchises should stick to what they know instead of experimenting outside the box with them. And like, everybody loves Metroid Prime, and that is totally not the original vision for Metroid. Like you look at Metroid, Super Metroid, Metroid 2, the Game Boy Advance games, like Metroid Prime is totally different than
Right.
than Super Metroid, right? It's got first person shooter elements. You're scanning the environment to figure out where to go next, figure out how to unlock doors. It's a really cool twist on a franchise that people loved for a long time. You know, and this might actually be an NGR topic actually this week, is like franchises that would benefit from changing genres or adding new elements from an existing genre into it. You know, and I was listening to Giant Bomb's Phil Spencer interview, and when I was listening to that, and they were trying to diversify their portfolio, and they're sitting on a lot of franchises people love, and I was thinking like, and they're not making deals with Ubisoft to get Splinter Cell. They're not, they're sitting on Perfect Dark, which, everybody loves that first game, and Perfect Dark Zero was whatever it was. Like, I think a game like Perfect Dark would benefit from just switching genres completely. Joanna Dark is a super spy that, uses a lot of gadgets to get through the environment. Like, why not make that a stealth action game similar to something like what Metal Gear 5 did? Like, something like that. And, like, Nintendo, that's kind of where my head was at with Star Fox Adventures. Like, it's exciting when Nintendo experiments with stuff, like, look at Zelda. Breath of the Wild, perfect example. Look what they did with the Zelda franchise. Look how much experimenting they did with that, and it worked out super well. So, I think they do need to do something with Star Fox. Like, everybody loves the aerial combat stuff. Keep that in there, but make it more. I don't know what they could do, but that was just my thing. But Super Nintendo Classic is coming September 29th, and Ed and I will be standing in line. I don't even know what I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play it all. I can't pick just one. I'm excited to play Yoshi's Island again in HD, like, because they have the pixel perfect HDMI mode, whatever. So that's my thing. But speaking of Metroid Prime, we learned that Retro Studios was not developing Metroid Prime 4, which led me to a thought. What exactly is Retro working on? What is their new IP? What do we think it could be? And this is purely hypothetical conversation. We could say what we want it to be. We could say what we think it is, what we kind of think it may be for Nintendo. Like, what is Retro working on?
Well, I remember back in the day, there was an interview that Retro was trying to make us like a sports game. But I don't know how far they got with that. So I think, well, first of all, I think it's going to be teen rated. I think it's going to be T. What they could be making might be something so off the wall that you wouldn't expect them to make. And I feel like they're making a survival horror game.
What if they're making Eternal Darkness 2?
I mean, they're making their own. A new IP, but I think I think Nintendo needs another chance at survival horror. The one Ghost game they had where you could possess a dog or something. It was on I think it was on. It might have been NC4 or GameCube.
Geist.
That one.
Are you talking about Geist? That was on GameCube.
Yeah, Geist. Okay, GameCube. That didn't do well. The Black Maiden game for Wii U kind of did well, but it wasn't really a hit. So I think Retro might be doing a survival horror game. I think they have a chance to really capture that atmosphere due to Metroid Prime. But I think they could make something so scary, something so mysterious that this game would definitely be like, okay, I see that this belongs to the Nintendo catalog.
Yeah. It's tough because there are two things I think Nintendo needs, and I think if they do it the smart way, Metroid Prime's going to cover one of them, right? They need...
Right.
I think, whether we agree with it or not, like the first person shooter genre is huge and competitive multiplayer is huge. And you put those two things together in a franchise like Metroid, like I still think they're going to do something with the Metroid Prime Federation Force for Switch. Like you like I don't know, it's probably not going to be part of Metroid Prime 4, but like if you sell it as like a separate thing, if they dial down and really just kind of like refocus and kind of where you can customize your bounty hunter and take it on missions and then also do competitive multiplayer with it. And I think a lot of people would really get into that. Like, I really think that. And I think a lot of people just didn't give Metroid Prime Federation Force a chance because it had been so long since we got a decent Metroid game, a decent, proper Metroid game. And, like, you know, as much as we enjoyed Other M besides, like, the really bad cutscenes, like, a lot of people didn't care for Other M. And a lot of people still look at like, Metroid Prime 3 to be the last good Metroid game. So, like, I think if you give it some time, if you rework some of the details, if you get your online stuff figured out, I really think they're going to work on Metroid Prime Federation Force 2 or new subtitle here, whatever.
But they're making a new IP.
No,
so
I know. I'm not saying Retro's working on that. I'm trying to say, like, Metroid Prime 4 has the first-person shooter genre covered, pretty much.
Yeah.
And if they added the Federation 4 style thing or made it a separate thing, like, there's two first-person things where Retro, I think, would want to stay away from that. So for me, I don't know. I feel like Retro might be working on I feel like they're going to be working on something in the vein of Tomb Raider and Uncharted, a third-person action, like pulp action game, kind of like Uncharted, but not a lot more polished and a lot better. Like, because I mean, everybody knows how we feel about Uncharted. It's just an okay franchise. Yes. I feel like it's super. The production values of like the facial capture and the animation is great, but like the gameplay's bad. Like, it just doesn't play well. So like I think Nintendo is going to approach a Western studio, which would be Retro, and say, look, here's what we have in our portfolio. We have 3 different platformers in Mario, Kirby, and Yoshi. We have the first-person genre set with Metroid Prime. We would like you to explore new IP in this genre.
Actually, it would be the other way around. Retro goes to Nintendo. Even though Nintendo owns Retro, I think Retro has approached Nintendo and just like, okay, we know you guys got this, but we got this. They're like, you guys don't got this adventure game, and we have a great idea for a venture game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that too. I think Nintendo has really kind of opened up a lot recently in terms of sharing their IP and really letting things go. And Reggie even said, "Yeah, we've kind of loosened up a bit. We're exploring new avenues for our IP." And like Retro, I think, has earned, with 2 amazing Donkey Kong games and 3 amazing Metroid games, I think they've earned the right to explore a new IP. Like,
right.
I really think they have. And like, I really think, they are good at making intricate worlds. And, we've seen that in Metroid. They're have great animation, great sense of a challenge versus reward, like in Donkey Kong. Like, they know how to explore different spaces, and if they applied it to a third-person action game, I think they could succeed. I think they know what they're doing. Their art styles, like, I mean, you saw some of the art team went to work on Halo 4, and the Prometheans were clearly inspired by Metroid Prime. It's clearly, you could have slapped Metroid on there instead of Halo and been like, yeah, you're playing Metroid now, and you'd be like, oh, sure. I can tell by that screenshot. I would really like them to do that, and I know we've been complaining a lot about Sony, all their games looking looking the same third person over the shoulder action game. But like
Yeah.
in terms of Nintendo's portfolio, they don't really have that. Like Zelda's an open world action RPG ish thing. Like Mario is clearly a 3D platformer. Metroid's going to be a Metroid game. Like they, in terms of Nintendo's portfolio, they need that, and I would like them to see if they can like create a. How do I say this? I would like them to create a more mature 3D style action game, not in the vein of like, in the T range, like you said, with cool weapons to use, cool ways to explore, and use puzzles to advance through the world. There's one section in Uncharted 1 where you are scaling this castle and you get into this courtyard and you have to do all these things to open gates and stuff, and like you have to solve puzzles to open gates to the next area, and like then there's like chaos and explosions everywhere and stuff. Like, but I would like to see Retro explore that first part of that, where like you're climbing this huge building and then you go into the building to solve some puzzles, and that unlocks another part of like the castle or the building that you're in, and you make your way through these worlds that way. Similar. It would be almost compared to like the Arkham games, like Arkham Asylum specifically, where you're completing different missions, solving new puzzles, getting new gadgets, and then you solving puzzles and using your new gadgets would allow you to progress through the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Retro, pardon my pun, Retro is prime for that sort of game. Like I didn't mean to do that. I swear I didn't mean to do that.
Well, the thing with Retro is that the way that we'll know what they're working on is that we need a leak of a storyboard of some art. Like, well, not so much storyboard, just like a piece of artwork to be like, what is this? Because Retro and Nintendo is keeping something under wraps really tight.
And Retro does, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Retro have two teams? Does Retro have two teams, or they only have one? Did they staff up after Donkey Kong to take on?
They staffed up.
Okay, because
they staffed up.
Part of me thinks like Retro is staffed up to make two teams, where I think maybe late 2018, early 2019, we might get a third Donkey Kong game, which would then help them fund their new IP for 2020, 2021.
No, their new IP is already funded.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't see nothing at E3. That's why they're not doing Metroid Prime 4. So if we don't get anything from Retro for if we don't get nothing from them for a Nintendo Direct later on this year, we gonna see something in spring, or we're gonna see something for next E3. Because what's going to happen is that Metroid Prime 4, Pikmin 4, Kirby, Yoshi, like those four, and maybe Fire Emblem if it gets delayed, like those would be kind of like the big five at E3. But they're going to want to promote, and they're really going to want to show off what Retro has been up to. Mm-hmm. And there's no better time to do it than E3. Or if they do it in the spring, they'll do that so they can overshadow everybody. Mm-hmm. So they can overshadow Microsoft and Sony. Of course, there'll be those big games coming out, but they want to be like, just for you guys to let you know why you bought a Switch. This game is coming to Switch, and we just want to show you guys what's in store for you after some of these 2018 games are released. And then, bam, they'll show what Retro has.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what Retro is working on. I think that they are one of the most underrated studios out there. Like I think their games are great. I love Metroid Prime, especially the first one. That game is amazing. I love Donkey Kong, the new ones in particular. Like, I love those games. I think merging what they've learned from both of those games and really approaching this project as like, look, Nintendo is changing. They're creating new experiences for us. They're taking their old IP and making them feel new again. They're giving, a facelift to Zelda. They're giving that facelift to Mario. They're giving us another Metroid Prime, which I honestly didn't think we were going to get another Prime game. I thought, the next Metroid would be more in the vein of Other M in terms of third person exploring, stuff like that. And Retro is one of Nintendo's only Western studios, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like,
yes,
they have a chance to really say, look, Nintendo's changing. We want to affect that change as well. Here's our IP. It's not Kirby. It's not Yoshi. It is a mature style story in this new world with an awesome art style, with fun weapons to play with a lot of puzzles to solve. Like, that's the game I want from them.
Right, and the thing definitely for me with Retro is that when I play Donkey Kong, when I play Metroid Prime, it feels like that studio's game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could play a game and be like, oh, this is a studio game, this is that studio game, and this new IP is going to be kind of different. Metroid Prime has something to prove to see what the studio can do under Nintendo's direction, and they knocked it out the park. They kind of overshadow Rare with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and the Return and stuff. Like, they overshadow Rare
as much as Rare's game, like, as good as those games were. Like, Retro really took that formula that Rare set up for them and, like, really took it in their own direction to where, like, it's a good, like, honor to the Rare games, but they really put their own spin on it, which is what I really love about it.
They tweaked and perfected it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people at Rare, when they got sold to Microsoft, I don't know if it was a business decision or what Rare was going through, but I kind of feel like that Rare was discouraged. And I feel like for them as a company working with Microsoft, I feel like there's no guidance that Microsoft could give to Rare. So, the quality of their games fell by the wayside. Of course, you can say whatever you want to say about Banjo-Kazooie, but I'm like, if you played the N64 game and then you play some of their later games, you would be like, this is not the same.
Yeah, if you play, like, everybody was excited when Nuts and Bolts was coming out, and then you played it. It was not Banjo-Kazooie at all. Like, it was fun, but like, what didn't feel like Banjo at all.
When you play Viva Pinata from Rare, it feels like a Rare game, and it's one of those games that surpass your expectations. Like, you expected this game to be a kiddie terrible game, and it came out and it was the bee's knees. It was the rage and surprise a lot of 360 owners. And that probably was the last. I mean, you go from Viva Pinata to like Grab by the Ghoulies, and you could see the difference in the quality. And I feel like I think if Microsoft was to give Rare back to Nintendo, or Nintendo was going to work with Rare, like Rare went independent, I think Rare would quickly jump on that opportunity to make a game for a Nintendo platform, and just be like, we need your guidance once again. I mean, if we could get that guidance to make a game for your platform, we would jump at that opportunity. And they literally would probably deliver something.
Yeah, I think I we get on Sony for doing some games that are pretty samey. They feel the same. They look similar. Like,
Hmm.
and the rumor is Microsoft is going out there to make their own version of Horizon, and like, their portfolio is a little bit more diversified than Sony's, but like, they're caught in the same boat where everything is like shooty bang bang style.
Yes.
And like, I think Nintendo has room in their portfolio for this style game, and I'm excited. And like, I would really like them to do what they did with Metroid Prime and make that third person over the style action game with
Hmm.
less focus on combat and more focus on world building and puzzles. Like, everybody's calling Metroid Prime first person shooter. It's not a first person shooter. It's a first person adventure game,
Right.
with light combat elements. Like, yeah, you're still shooting stuff in that game, and but
But
you
it's
always
not
shoot
like
stuff in
level
Metroid. But it's
based.
not like, yeah, it's not level based, and it's also where was I going with that thought? Sorry, I got a notification and it really just threw me off. Uh, Metroid Prime is focused on exploring and finding your way through the environment and scanning and learning about different things, and that's what I want them to continue to focus on is their exploration, because they are masters at exploration. I mean, you can even see it in the Donkey Kong games. Like, there's multiple ways through each level. There's the foreground and the background you can explore in some areas. Like, take it in a cool art direction, like the Silhouette Donkey Kong levels. Like, that was so cool. Like, their art
Yes.
directions in these games are so cool, and like, to reinvent the third person action game with a cool art style, a really really cool art style, and a focus on exploration would just be like, yes, please. So, um,
Yes.
I do agree with your first point though. Like, I do think Nintendo could do a interesting job in exploring survival horror. Uh, I know they kind of went out of their way a lot of times with, they got the Resident Evil remake and then Resident Evil 4 for GameCube, and then, they did some stuff in Japan and Europe with Fatal Frame. They were really
Yes.
exploring that. So I don't know if Nintendo directly would do that, but I think they could go second or third party and go get something like that. I think, Fatal Frame is a popular enough franchise to where they could bring the next one over here if Switch continues to sell and dominate like it
Hmm.
has been. So, I mean,
Well, Nintendo has stake in exclusivity with Fatal Frame,
mhm.
so that's why of course it's big in Japan for Tecmo, Koei, um, but just the way that we seen it here, we were just like we all wanted this game, and I kind of understand why people were kind of a little bit disappointed because I feel like they should have brought the whole game over here. But it was good that they were just like, hey, play this first level. If it's your tea and you guys are interested, and you agree with views or don't agree, at least try give the game a try. And if it's up your tea and you just want to play like a bad, average, mediocre game and stuff, you like into that, then you could buy the whole game. And for people who were missing the survival horror genre, that was a game that could get you back in. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Retro's working on, and Nintendo for the first time in forever has a full slate of games to where, like, it's to the point to where, like, if they announce a couple more Wii U ports, like,
mhm.
and really start going after third parties similar to what they're doing with Mario and Rabbids, like, get those third parties on board, incentivize third parties to make exclusives, like that Rabbids game, everybody's talking about it, and that's
Right.
amazing. And like, if they can do that, like, and still fill a spot next year or 2 years from now with a retro game, like, I mean,
I,
look, I know we like my Wii U collection is like 50 games strong, right? Probably more. And like,
Yes.
you know, my Wii collection is a little bit smaller, but I mean that's because I got all the major games for that. But like,
My Wii U my Wii collection is like 70 games strong, and my Wii U is about like 40 games strong
yeah, so like,
plus.
and my GameCube collection is like, I don't even want to
It's
go.
it's
I don't even want to go there. But like, you know, we're in the minority of that, where everybody's always
yes.
like, "Oh, Nintendo has no games, darn." Well, like, even if there's games that people are interested in, you can't say Nintendo has no games anymore. Like,
Right.
we're at that point, and it's exciting, and we talk about this every week. Like, it's why we started this
Right.
show.
Well, can I say, because I know we're about to probably wrap up soon. Um, Nintendo going out, and letting their IP go with any like other companies, second or third. The best decisions they make with that will always be with Japanese companies
Mm-hmm.
instead of Activision, or instead of THQ and all these other, or EA. Like, for a lot of us, we don't want Activision touching none of Nintendo games. We don't want EA touching none of Nintendo's franchises because they don't know how to develop they don't know how to develop anything Nintendo related. They don't know how to make a Nintendo style game. Ubisoft, of course they got like the Rabbids game and stuff, but they're probably getting more experience working with Nintendo and being like, yeah, the game is XCOM, but it's just like under the guidance of Nintendo and Miyamoto and getting their input, they're correcting stuff that maybe we didn't even know about
Mm-hmm.
and making our development better. You
Yeah.
know, think how Nintendo would have did if they worked with if they worked with Nintendo worked with EA on a Mirror Edge game. A Mirror Edge was exclusively a Nintendo game. Like, Nintendo made the IP and stuff, and they brought EA to come and developed it. Nintendo would have corrected a lot of stuff about that series, and it probably would have been a surprise top hit.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
like
mean, I would like to see Nintendo reach out to more Japanese companies because I know Activision's not going to work with Nintendo unless it's like
mhm,
Skylanders and they're going to make millions of dollars. Like, that's just the way Activision works. They've come out and said it. Like, they're like, we're not going to make a game if it's not going to make us money. EA tries to play on the fan side of things, with things like Mirror's Edge Catalyst and this The Way Out or something. That game they showed, the co-op game. Like, they
yeah,
try to do that, but they the money they make off the Star Wars and Battlefield games alone are going to pay for those. Like, even if they lose money on
right,
those, like, those games will sell 100 times over to the point where like they can fund those games and just kind of like wipe their butts with the money they make off of those. Like,
right.
Nintendo needs to reach out to Japan because that's where their strengths lie.
Well,
That's where their strengths lie.
well, Nintendo has reached out to Japan. That's why we got the games that we got. That's what, like, okay, some people left at Hyrule Warriors, but I think it sold a million. Like, it out the gate, it got people back into playing the Miso style games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, which
People
is
left just like,
exactly why we're getting two for Switch this year. Like,
right,
we're getting Fire Emblem Warriors, and then we're getting something in July that's based off of an anime, but it's essentially the same game. Fate something. I don't remember what it's called.
right. Namco Bandai, like, they did the Smash Brothers. I mean, Smash Brothers. They did Smash, and that was a huge success for both teams. Now if you look at like Tekken 7, I haven't played it or anything, but I'm just like, if people knew that, who were interested in Tekken or anything, and heard like, you know, that Smash game, you know, Neko Bandai did that, right? They did, yeah. You like, you might want to also check out Tekken 7 because it might have some like ideas for Smash in that game. Most people probably will pick up Tekken 7 and play it. I
Hmm.
don't know how the sales are for that. You know, uh, Platinum. We always talk about Nintendo working with Platinum. Bayonetta 2, a big success. Wonderful 101, kind of a success, I believe. But it led to Activision working with them. Now, depending on what game that you got from Activision and Platinum, Transformers Devastation is probably the only good one out of the three. Out of that Legend of Korra and that Ninja Turtles game.
I mean,
You know,
I didn't even think, Transformers was that great, but
right. And I'm like, and even though Platinum helped with Star Fox Zero, yeah, there might have been some things, but I bet you Platinum was just like, we love. I think Platinum loves work with Nintendo over everybody.
hmm
And
yeah,
I think any company that got a chance to work with Nintendo, they would do it. Why do you think Microsoft would just be like, Nintendo needs to bring their games to our console?
hmm yeah. And the thing is, like, I really feel like, even you look at something like Wonderful 101 or Bayonetta 2, like,
Mhm.
those are two of Wii U's best games, and it's full platinum. They had ideas, and Nintendo let them run with it, and like getting Bayonetta 2, man, that was it's still, man, that game. If
Right.
you like, that's another game though too that I'm like, I'm really sad it's stuck
And
on a console with only 13 million units sold. Like, that's a game I feel like everybody needs to play, and it's the same thing as like, you know, a, a lot of history, a lot of old games are stuck on the consoles they came out on, and that's why digital distribution became so large, and that's why virtual console, everybody's clamoring for virtual console so they can play the old games without hooking up their old systems. And like, it's cool that that 8-bit duo company is making the Super Nintendo
mhm.
and those controllers for Switch, or they work on Switch. And it's like, Bayonetta is one of those games that I just feel really bad. It's stuck on a console that nobody owns.
it proved it. I think it proved the theory that uh, not all M-rated games are just going to be number one sellers, and when you work with one of the best developers and best publishers in the video game industry, your work will prove your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you make a game exclusively for Sony and for Microsoft, like I always said, you can have one of the top games, but if I see multiple copies of your top game at GameStop used, that's a problem because that really just says that nobody values your worth as a company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people get mad and start saying that, oh, I should have bought it when the game came out, that already tells you that if a game come out for Nintendo, you might want to pick it up because you might regret that you can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Digitally, yeah, now we in that age. Because my thing would be this, and actually had a thought about this, and I might write it for NGR Radio, so guys do check it out. Um, if Nintendo made a game with Insomniac and made a game with Ninja Theory for Nintendo, like for Switch or for like not even handheld, just for a console, I think Insomniac might be blown out the water on what they would create. I think Ninja Theory will probably show Nintendo like we could also make great action games.
Mm-hmm.
We just need your help and maybe your marketing. And probably give us a try. Give us an IP that you guys haven't used yet or you have used and it didn't sell well, and help us create it where people become interested again in that platform
Mm-hmm.
or in that series. And I think Nintendo can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
No,
I'm interested to see, like, 6 months or even a year from now, you know, what kind of deals Nintendo has put in place. If like, I I honestly think we're going to get a lot more Wii U ports than people realize. I think we're going to get a lot of collaborations between, Nintendo and Namco Bandai, even Konami, the resurgence of Konami with Bomberman and them supporting that game with a bunch of free DLC. And, there were rumors that Konami is interested in bringing Castlevania to Switch at some point. Like, if Nintendo can make these deals, that will really start separating it. I mean, Nintendo's already separated from Xbox and PlayStation. Like, I don't even compare them anymore. Like,
Right.
their portfolio is so different, and the third party games they do get are way different, and the indies on there is just, I mean, they're phenomenal. The indies
And
I've been playing on there, but like,
and and Sega themselves have been sticking by to Nintendo because they have been making more money working with Nintendo.
uh,
You know.
yeah, and I'm interested in like 6 months from now when we see a direct, a year from now after E3, what kind of deals are going to be in place to where, even Square, like if Square Enix releases games on here, like, the big rumor is right now that at Gamescom, Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to be announced, and the company that's working on their things had a Nintendo logo on their website before all the key art was taken down. So like, I'm really interested to see if Nintendo is really trying to explore bringing Tomb Raider to Switch at some point. Like, there's so many different moving parts, and like, I'm really just excited to see. We've got the rosebud, right? It's starting to bloom. We got Zelda, we got Mario coming, we've got Rabbids. Like, it's coming. I'm ready to see it go. I'm ready to see it bloom. I'm ready to see it open up and have all these different petals. Just, here's a Konami game, here's a Capcom game, here's some new Nintendo games, here's Bayonetta 2, and it comes with Bayonetta 1, and you can pre-order Bayonetta 3. Like, those are the things I want to see, and it's exciting. I'm excited.
and, and that's why I always say I feel like the Western third party is in trouble because of Nintendo and Switch. Sony and Microsoft could have Destiny 2 for all that's worth, and that could be the one game most people play. But I'm just like, if you want to limit yourself to one game, that's your choice. But Nintendo has a world of games to adventure and to advance your skill. Now, if you want to be a better gamer, you need something that's going to advance your skill, and Nintendo always offered that. I don't think Western third parties offer that on Sony or Microsoft.
That's also an advantage Nintendo has right now too. Is like, and maybe we'll save this for Friday's discussion, because I really want to spend some time on this topic. But all of these games are moving into a games for service style game, like Destiny, The Division. It looks like Skull and Bones from Ubisoft is moving that way. Sea of Thieves for Microsoft's trying to be that way. Like, you see all these games inching in that direction. Anthem for Xbox One. Like, you're seeing all these games move that way, and it's like, Nintendo. This could work to Nintendo's advantage, because if people are playing these 1 or 2 games a year on these other platforms and they're still itching to play something else, like,
yes,
Nintendo can swoop in and say, hey, here's Super Mario Odyssey over here. Like, while you're taking a break from your games of service, you come over here and play our awesome single player games. You come over here and play some Zelda. You come over here, look, we got Metroid over here. Like, it's really good. I think what people have considered a disadvantage for Nintendo for so long, being underpowered, being gimmicky, not having a lot of quote third party support, like, that's actually going to start working in Nintendo's advantage this generation. And yes. I am really, especially with the way the industry is moving with super powerful, expensive boxes, games of service, Nintendo has the portfolio that people want every single one of their games that are coming out this year. And that's one major game every month from first party, and sprinkle the third party stuff in there.
And this is my last point, and then we're gonna wrap it up because we're gonna have to, like you said, we're gonna have the discussion for Friday to go up. This game with service thing is gonna base heavily online.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a person who kid wants to play that game, you need to invest on the $60 a year online service.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a parent who cannot budget that, then you at your child or teen or whatever, if they don't have a job or they're not getting an allowance to afford that, they might not need that system if the games as a service is going. Because if that online goes down or that server goes down, you can't play that game.
Yeah.
And they got your money, and you can't do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll have the discussion for Friday.
Yeah, that's probably going to be our main discussion for Friday. I'm gonna make a note because I know I'll forget. But yeah, let me make that note real quick. But yeah, that discussion is an interesting one, and how, you know, games for service on other platforms can actually work to Nintendo's advantage. So,
right.
Games for service discussion.
And I know some people are going by like, well, what if Nintendo went for a games for service program? I'm like, people will buy it because they know the quality that Nintendo is going to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think Nintendo really wants to do that. Like, I think the closest thing we're gonna get is the free DLC for ARMS and Splatoon. Like, that's the closest I think we're gonna get. And you know, Splatoon's an amazing game, and I can't wait. My mind just got blown because we're gonna be able to play Splatoon 2 when you're up here.
Yes.
Yes. But Ed, we still have a lot to do. So we're going to wrap up this episode and probably do something else right afterwards. So, Ed, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode. You can also hear my podcast, Optional Opinion, at SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and other podcast apps. And also, still, you can hear it at the Anonymous Radio Network.podbean.com. You can read my series, The Moment, at skirmishfrogs.com. My feature this week is up, so guys, do check it out. Go to IGN.com. Just type in anime, ENIME, and you guys can check out Optional Opinion. My feature is The Rising Sun. Is it still there? Is Japan making a comeback? So guys, do check that out. Also check out at the Wednesday after you guys watch this episode, check out NGR Radio. I have a new blog up that you guys could read, and I'll hopefully hear your guys' thoughts about it. And also check out World 101 Podcast at shoutengine.com. Also, I'm sorry, I got a lot. You can check out my series, Let's Learn, on Twitch. Just type in the lyrical one and subscribe. I am going to get back into teaching some games and hopefully talk to you guys about that. So, yeah. That's me.
Yeah. Losing my voice a little bit. You can find me...
and Arsenal X and Nerds Go Platinum. Check that out, too, on AGR.
Yeah, by the time this episode airs, the first segment of Nerds Gone Platinum will be live. So, we had Josh Finney on from Geeks Gamers, and we talked about how PlayStation is handling the VR situation. So that's the first segment, and then we go into indies and their first party stuff. So, we would really appreciate your feedback on Arsenal X and Nerds Gone Platinum. It might not be me and Ed every time on those shows. It's like there's a lot of pieces that we can play with now with NGR Radio. Like,
yes,
we have 5 really solid interchangeable parts right now, and we have a huge slew of guests to pull from. Ray from Nerd Overdrive has been a big help. Love Ray to death. Josh is, he came on and was an awesome guest. Like, I would love to talk to him again, specifically on the Xbox side of things. Matt's going to be joining us on Nerds Gone Platinum at some point whenever he comes back from Chi-Town and we're recording. Moose has a lot to say about, if there's like a lot of Dark Souls, Fallout, all that kind of stuff. Like, we have a lot of moving parts right now that we can interchange. Like, Ed may be hosting the show one day with Matt, and that's going to be a scary episode. I want to watch that episode really bad. Not gonna lie.
Oh, I'm professional. I know how to handle Matt.
I love it. I love your guys' interactions. It's the best. It's the best. But seriously, I am really proud what Ed and I have come up with Arsenal X and Nerds Gone Platinum. I'm really proud of kind of what the main three of us have done with NGR Radio. And Ed, I thank you all the time, but I love you, and you just know, I love you.
Oh, thank you.
But anyways, I guess I'll do my outro now. You can find me on Instagram at CoreyNHD. You can find me on Twitter at Corey Hudson in HD. You can follow my Twitch channel, where a lot of this has been streaming lately. I'm trying to move it over to the NGR Radio page when it's finished. But twitch.tv/CoreyNHD. You can watch us there. Do live recordings of the shows before they go up on YouTube the next day or the next week. Check out Arsenal X again and Nerds Gone Platinum. Check out NGR Radio every Monday at 10 a.m. Check out this show every Tuesday and Friday. Ed and I will be here in some form, maybe with a guest, maybe not. We love to talk Nintendo. That's why we started the show way back, on the old platform, and now with NGR Radio. Ed's my Nintendo bro. And I love you, man. This is a great show. So, thank you guys for listening or watching. Like, subscribe, and share on that YouTube page, please. And
Yay!
Check out ngrradio.com. And until Friday, we love you.
Woohoo! Nintendo Power Block. Yes!